Hello, everyone. I'm Marvin Scott, and today we're going to dip into my vault and the archival vault, and we're going to pull out a couple of the iconic stories I've done over the past 45 years I've been here at Pix 11 News. And joining me on my journey through the vault is my dear friend and colleague, Monica Morales.
I live for this, Marvin. I'm your biggest fan. You are a legend.
Thank
These
you.
stories are incredible. So stay tuned. Wait till you see this. I mean, you're taking us in prison, but you've been in prison a lot, Marvin.
I've been to a few. I've been Attica, Trenton State, Rahway, Wethersfield in Connecticut.
Okay.
That's four.
That's quite a rap sheet, Marvin.
And a couple of local jails.
I got to see this.
Anyway, so the first story I'm going to share today with our viewers is a trip back in 1993. Cameraman John Frazzi and I, we had the opportunity to get an exclusive visit to one of the most notorious prisons in the entire country. And it was built back in 1931, and it was known for, there was a notorious uprising there in 1977, I believe it was. It was Attica Prison. And this is what it looked like on the inside of a maximum security prison.
Attica, a sleepy village just outside Buffalo, a tranquil, snow-covered countryside that gives no hint as to what lies beyond the hill. Foreboding, gray like some Gothic castle, stretching a mile and a quarter around. Walls 35 feet high, 2 feet thick, walls fortified by gun towers. A population within greater than that of the surrounding village. More than 2,000 of New York's most hardened criminals, 650 of them doing life for murder. This is no country club.
It isn't a real easy jail. We try to run it secure as we can, but it's a tough place.
It's as tough as you make it. I've been here for 12 years.
Try to obey your rules, and that's all you have to worry about.
These are tough guys doing tough time. Killers mingling with rapists and robbers. And there's the constant reminder of just how bad things could get out of hand. September 1971, a prison uprising. 42 prison employees taken hostage. After 4 days of negotiations fail, Governor Rockefeller orders state police to regain control with guns. When the air clears, 39 lay dead, including 10 hostages.
Well, I remember thinking I was in a war. I couldn't believe a lot of the things that took place.
Do you feel anything positive came out of that riot?
The direction of corrections has drastically changed in 21, 22 years. Positive things.
It's training and communication.
At least now, to talk.
Another major change, guards who now have formal training and educational programs.
Working here all day, going to college at night, hardly gives me any time for anything else, but it's productive.
Keeps you out of trouble, huh?
Of course it does.
Inmates now have more recreational time in the yard. And good behavior earns married inmates access to bungalows on prison grounds for conjugal visits. This is home, a cell 6 by 10 feet. But in the honor block, a select few earn the right to a larger cell and even their own cooking privileges.
Wally, what's for lunch?
Spaghetti and clam sauce.
Prison officials agree that while there's always room for improvement, they feel reforms have been made to prevent an explosive riot here again. And those changes come at a cost. The state spent $8 million a year to run this facility back in 1971. And now with the increased manpower and additional programs, it costs New York State $33 million a year to run this maximum security prison.
Well, the Attica Correctional Facility, it became somewhat of a symbol of the problems that existed in the prison system. Many corrections have been made since the uprising in 1977. The prison was crammed when I was there. Interesting, you saw a quick soundbite there with a man named Parakeet. He was in for life. And in his cell over the sink was a picture of Farrah Fawcett.
Oh my
That was his
gosh.
fan.
You know, I really want to know, you were there. So can you share with us your understanding and how did it change of prison life? I mean, you must have had your own understanding. And once you're in there, the maximum security.
It was just awesome. My feeling is that a maximum security prison is the best deterrent to crime. Let people who are bent on crime visit one of these facilities, and I don't think they'll commit a crime.
Wow.
Because it was so dehumanizing in a way.
That's a good way to describe it.
6 by 10
Dehumanizing.
cell. Can you imagine your
No,
life living
no.
in that?
It's insane.
That's your home.
You would go insane to it. I mean, when the doors closed, do you remember that feeling when the doors closed and you were walking? Do you remember that or?
I was allowed inside the cell with a couple of people who were in for life because they committed murder. It was just interesting listening to them because they had been there like 25 to life. And the one parakeet, he was there for many years. And listening to these people, they adjusted. It was their life.
Wow.
They were resigned to it. As awful as it would be to be locked up in a 6 by 10 cell as your home day in and day out. As I said, anyone bent on crime, visit a maximum security prison. You won't commit a crime.
Yeah.
When you get to be locked up like that, you think of people serving a life sentence. And they try and make life. They have activities, and there are a lot of activities. The budget to run that prison was like, back in 1993, was $33 million. Back in 1971, I think it was like, I had a
That'd be a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of money.
In 93 was $33 million, $8 million in 1971. Can you imagine what it is now?
No, I can't imagine.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And anyway, let's shift gears. I want to talk about the next piece, which I have, which was a murder back in 2003,
You know,
reaching into the vault.
Marvin, these are very creepy stories that you're telling because you're always so close to the story. I don't think most people know how close you were to this one.
Well, I was close to this one because I was almost at this restaurant that night
What?
in 2003. It's a famous restaurant in East Harlem called Rayo's. You can't get a reservation there.
Never. I don't think I've ever gotten a reservation myself.
Anyway, it was like 3 nights before Christmas in 2003. And it was a Monday night. And this wonderful woman, a friend of mine, was singing, as she did every Monday night there at a table with my friends, Sonny Grasso. And someone at the bar was annoyed by her singing. And another guy at the bar said, shut up. You know, she's singing.
Whoa.
Don't be so rude.
Yeah.
The argument continued. And the man kept complaining. And he got shot and
Right.
killed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
This is the story I did the day after.
This restaurant is so exclusive, even Madonna got turned away because she had no reservation. With only 10 tables here, some folks have to wait up to 2 years to get a reservation. Well, as far as that shooting is concerned, the 2 men involved were sitting at the bar. Somehow they got into an argument that went too far. Some people suggest that argument may have been triggered by the victim's hassling of a female singer.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything.
In an exclusive interview tonight, actress-singer Rena Strober told me she is still in shock over witnessing the shooting and over the very notion that her singing had anything to do with it.
Any kind of violence is heartbreaking, and I would never think that it would come from someone who's performing.
Police tonight charged 67-year-old Louis Barone of the Bronx with murdering 37-year-old Albert Cercelli of Yonkers after they got into an argument at the bar. He's also charged with the shooting of the cousin of the restaurant's co-owner, who was hit in the foot by a ricocheting bullet. The legendary Rayo's, which caters to many celebrities whose pictures adorn the walls, including Governor Pataki and former President Bill Clinton, has had its share of fracases since it opened over 100 years ago. But to anyone's knowledge, there has never been a murder there. Patrons started screaming in shock.
I ducked under the table really quickly, and you suddenly see the next 10 years of your life. I prayed.
Former NYPD detective Sonny Grosso, a Rayo's regular who helped crack the famed French Connection heroin case years ago, was there last night, and his police instincts kicked in when an officer initially nabbed 2 suspects.
He had one guy under control, and he was holding the other guy. And he said to me, I looked at him, I said, can I help you? And he said, Sonny, can you search this guy? I threw the guy over the car and I searched him.
Though the alleged shooter has a criminal record and possible ties to organized crime, police say the shooting was not a mob hit. Bo Dietl, whose police career was portrayed in the movie One Tough Cop, was also at the scene last night. He says the shooting had nothing to do with the mob and nothing to do with the singer.
2 fellas knew each other for a while. One owed the other one money from a long time, and it escalated into an argument, and the argument escalated into the shooting. I don't think it was anything pre-planned.
And it's a safe place, Rayos. I go there every Monday to sing for everybody and bring happiness there.
And as someone who has been here and have heard her a number of times, I must attest to the fact that she certainly does bring smiles to the faces of patrons here. I should clarify that initially 2 suspects were nabbed. Only 1 person has been charged with the murder. And there's a footnote to this story. The song that Rena was about to sing when murder intervened was All That Jazz from the popular show and movie Chicago. Anyone who has seen it knows that the song ends with a sudden crackle of gunfire. Life imitating art, or art imitating life?
The aftermath of all of that, the shooter, Louis Barone, he pleaded guilty to manslaughter, and he escaped the murder charge, and he escaped a murder conviction. He was sentenced to, 15 years in prison.
Wow.
So he should be free by now.
When you reflect on it now and how close you were and how you knew everybody, I mean, how does that, looking back on it now and watching it again?
Well, I was supposed to go up there that night, and I was
I'm
very
so
friendly.
glad you didn't. I'm so
Sonny
glad you didn't do
Grosso, and I was a guest at his table. He was there every Monday night. And
What?
I did a live shot that night in Times Square. So I was close to home. And I decided, okay, rather than going all the way uptown, I'm going to go home.
Thank goodness.
So I missed the excitement and the
excitement? What do you mean the excitement? The death. But there's an angel on your
I would
shoulder.
have been an eyewitness to a murder. God. I would have had the story there right there.
Yeah, I know you're all about the story. You're obsessed with the story, but I'm really grateful that you were too tired to go to that.
Well, I wasn't tired.
Restaurant.
I was thinking, hey, I was closer to home than Rio.
Yeah.
So but what a story. And,
Work saved your life.
And Sonny helped to nab the guy.
Wow, that's incredible. What an incredible
Louis
story.
Barone. Oh, what a story. I remember that night very well. It was just before Christmas. And okay, I got more stories. But
I'd
first,
love to hear it.
our producer, Joe Cole, says
The best
we have to take a
producer
break.
in the world?
We have to take a break. Okay, so let's take a break, Joe. Welcome back. Monica, you ever see the movie The French Connection?
Yes. Gene Hackman. I love Gene Hackman.
And you know the other 2 characters?
No.
Sonny Grosso and Eddie Egan.
Uh-huh.
Cloudy and Popeye Doyle were their names.
I love those
in the
names,
film.
yeah.
But the real characters, Grosso and Egan, they're the ones who cracked the French Connection case, the largest seizure of heroin in U.S. history at that time.
It's incredible.
And they were legendary cops in the NYPD.
And you know those guys? You knew them?
I knew them, yes. Sonny became a very dear friend of mine, and I also knew Eddie Egan. And back in 1993, I got these 2 guys to walk on the street in Manhattan. We walked up 3rd Avenue.
I don't know how you do this. How do you get this kind of access? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get them to trust you like that? It's very difficult.
Well,
you make it look easy.
At the time, they were talking about policing at the time.
Right.
And if you remember back in the 90s, we had the surge in crime. We had Giuliani out there. We had Dinkins. And these guys, these were talking about policing 1993. Take a look. Here's the interview we did.
Sonny Grosso and Eddie Egan. The scourge of the drug underworld, 2 of the most feared and respected cops of their time. More than 10,000 arrests between them during the 60s and 70s, the days before Miranda, search and seizure, and other measures that restricted the powers of the cops. In their round-the-clock war against hardcore drug offenders, they charged through the dope world with the crazed bravado of a bull with a death wish, often in disguise. In 1961, they hit the jackpot with a seizure of 120 pounds of pure heroin, their infamous bust immortalized in the movie The French Connection, Gene Hackman playing the flamboyant Egan and Roy Scheider the sensitive Grasso. Grasso and Egan hung up their shields in the 70s and now produce movies about cops. Although the long blue line has passed them by, they still think and breathe cop. And last month, during one of their rare get-togethers, Grasso and Egan spoke to me about the differences between being a cop in this city 20 years ago and now.
When Eddie and I were walking the streets of New York, there were 350 homicides a year, and 2,500 last year. Less people in New York than when I was a cop here. There's been a migration out of the city, so there's less people, and the homicides are tenfold.
What do you account the change?
I account the change to no respect for the law and no respect for each other, and acquisition of all kinds of handguns and Uzis and everything else, which could never exist when him and I were cops, because we would search 100 guys a day when we were working. And you can't do that now because of search and seizure and Miranda and all the other rights for the defendants and no rights for the policemen anymore.
They're scared of doing the job. Well, the situation today is you only get in trouble if you do your job. The more you do, the more trouble you get. So with all these associations and what have you that's marching on City Hall and saying the cop is wrong, the cop is wrong. The video cameras are out there. They're running in and challenging the authority of the cop. Leaves them with no authority. They don't fear us. They don't fear the cops.
Why not? What's changed?
Well,
they used to fear you guys.
The cops today are coming into a job as a job, not as a career.
I'd like to get $1 for every off-duty collar him and I made. And now the one thing is, if that's what you're doing, you're working 8 to 4, well, that's a different job.
I loved it. I'd put a tie on and go to work. And I'd like to get there an hour earlier so I'd have an extra hour in there. I loved fighting it.
The police departments all over went downhill when they stopped having the cop on the beat. And the one thing is, when a cop was on a beat, he knew who belonged there, he knew who had the right to be there, and he knew who didn't belong there. So we have to bring back what we had years ago with the police. We have to bring back a respect for the police.
Let the police department be the police department and run the police department, not let crybaby associations run the police department. And politicians.
Who is the civil rights for? Do you know anybody that's had his apartment kicked in the middle of the night and was completely innocent? Do you know anybody that was harassed by a cop on the street? You personally, there are people that happened to. It is the criminal who puts up the biggest beef. It is the criminal. And there's all these organizations who fight about defendants' rights, put all the cops on the defense, and there is no more offense. So don't get in trouble. Pick up your paycheck every day and go home. I walk around with a 38. He walks around with a 38. What do you walk around with? What's your protection?
Our 238s.
Crime is up, arrests and convictions down, and cops, they claim, are on the defense instead of the offense. And they attribute the change primarily to one thing.
The one major difference is the abundance of drugs. Drugs is the killer of the society that Eddie and I knew. Everybody has gotten into the business now. Everybody. Where it came, we used to deal with organized crime. A gigantic problem now, we're dealing with disorganized crime. And disorganized crime and organized crime are both crime, but I would rather deal with organized crime than disorganized crime. Because in disorganized crime, everybody's out there doing whatever they wanted to do. In organized crime, only certain people could do it.
I'd make probably 1,000 arrests a month if I was dealing with it today. In our time, heroin was a hidden factor. The dealers were hiding it. They weren't openly defying you. Today, they march in the court. They're out the back door as quick as they are.
Today, they've told the uniform force not to make narcotic collars.
The laws are there. They're not enforced. Everybody is a do-gooder.
And everybody knows that. That's why every scurv in the world comes from all over and comes to this city, because it's the most liberal city in the world. And you can get away with murder here. Criminals are like children. If you don't If you don't teach children that you mean business, they're going to go on doing anything they want to do.
And when you were a cop, you brought that little child home, and Daddy dealt with him and straightened him out. Now you got to wake up Daddy because he's under the influence of crack, and he's going out to do worse than the kid did. So he says he's only a kid. He'll learn. He'll learn the hard way.
You missed the job? You like to come back?
Yeah, I miss the job every day of my life, and even though I'm making a lot more money now than I ever made before, I'll still always be a cop. Like Lasorda bleeds Dodger blue, I bleed New York City police blue, and yes, I miss it. I don't know if I'd ever be able to come back on a job and do the job that Eddie and I done, the way the job is set up today.
Would you like to come back today?
If I ran the city, I ran the department. That's the only way.
Your way?
My way.
And succinctly, what would your way be?
I would throw them all out that don't want to do the job. They come in the job to get a badge and a gun to get into the movies for nothing. If they're going into the movies for nothing, I expect them to make a rest in the movie.
Grasso and Egan are critical of the justice system, turnstile justice, they say, and often punishment that doesn't match the crime. During their many years as cops, Grasso and Egan made more than 10,000 arrests.
That was their take on policing circa 1993.
So many lessons, right, Marvin? What did you take from that in policing?
They were in the department in the days where I think before Miranda, before you had to read the rights, they were credited in their career with some 10,000 arrests.
Oh my gosh.
Between the two of them.
What made them so effective, you think, as a duo? They just seemed to complete each other.
Well, you saw the film, and
yeah.
It was no holds barred. These guys, there are stories, but I can't tell.
I know you're smiling, and I think there's some good stuff in there. Someday, do a tell-all.
Yeah, someday.
Someday.
I mean, things they shared with me.
I thought this was the time we were doing it. Okay.
I would not reveal. No. Anyway, we're going to go on to another legendary moment in history, and in my one of the stories I did in my 45 years, the thousands of stories. Remember the blackout in 77?
I mean, how could you? Yes, it's so scary. We're worried about it now.
I remember it, and in 2013, I believe, I did a story flashing back on the blackout of 1977. We're going to take a look at that, but first, let's take this break. Bird back. We're back. And Monica and I are talking about, where were you when the lights went out?
I was not even born yet.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's the truth. And if you believe me, I have some swampland to sell you. But but honestly, this is so timely right now because I am so fearful that that'll happen again. And you lived through it. But the resilience of New Yorkers is amazing.
I was through the one in 1965, I think. I remember seeing the lights go out in Manhattan, one block after another.
So creepy.
But the 1977 blackout was really a defining moment here in New York. And it really demonstrated the resilience of New York and the violence of New York. You had those two characteristics. I was there in 1977, but in 2013 here at PIX, I did a story looking back and remembering the blackout of 1977. This is what it looked like.
The peaceful image from above belied the reality of despair that was choking the city on that steamy July night. A bolt of lightning would break the heat, but it would also fuel the flames of anger over a city on the brink of bankruptcy. A total of 4 lightning strikes north of the city knocked out vital power lines, feeding Con Edison's massive power grid. Within an hour, the city was plunged into total darkness. I remember looking out from the walkway on the Manhattan Bridge.
It's an eerie sight standing up here, looking out at Lower Manhattan, the tall skyscrapers, the twin towers of the World Trade Center, all darkened.
Most New Yorkers responded with resilience.
Anybody else going across the street? Come on.
With traffic lights out, volunteers pitched in to direct traffic. People help people. It also brought out the worst in New Yorkers. Neighborhoods throughout the city exploded into violence. More than 1,600 stores were ransacked, looted, and destroyed. Over 1,000 fires were set. Firefighters could do little but to let many burn themselves out. Looting was so widespread, some people characterized that night as Christmas in July.
I got me a stereo, clothes, a bicycle, a bracelet. I got over a lot of things.
Police made more than 4,000 arrests. The blackout couldn't have come at a worse time for the city, which already was in the throes of financial crisis. Crime was at an all-time high. The streets were filthy, and a serial killer known as Son of Sam held the city in the grips of fear. Mayor Abe Beame accused Con Edison of gross negligence. Con Ed blamed it principally on an act of God. The director of the Superman movie being shot in Manhattan thought it was his fault. The power went out at the very moment one of his big lights was plugged into a city lamppost. The blackout shed light on a hotly contested mayoral race and became a defining moment for a little-known liberal congressman, Ed Koch, who emerged as the law and order candidate and won. In the aftermath of the blackout, 9 months after, cultural legend has it that the birth rate shot up 35%.
Imagine the resilience of New Yorkers, the birth rate going up at that time.
Excuse me, Marvin? The romance that was going on but you know, it really is a scary time, right? Were you scared at any moment? Were you scared?
Not at the moment. I was more worried about my deadline getting.
Yeah. Our bosses, right? You're like, I better get it up.
Standing up on the bridge there and looking out at Lower Manhattan and seeing nothing, just blackness.
It's so creepy. Yeah.
It was, but it was a time where you saw people directing traffic, but you also saw people looting. It was the worst of times and the best of times.
It brings out the best and the worst in people, right?
I mean, New York has demonstrated the resilience time after time, but also the sad part of it is how violent people can get.
Yeah.
I mean, that one man showing how proud he was that he lifted something. He just looted the store.
Yeah. I'm just amazed you weren't afraid at any point. I think you're so wrapped up in the story.
I kind of have to be honest with you about this.
Yeah.
People ask me that all the time, being in situations, being in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Were you scared? And my answer is afterwards.
You see the video and you're like, wow, that was scary.
Did I do that?
You have a delayed reaction,
I mean,
Marvin.
flying in an F-16 or were you scared? Afterwards, I said, oh my God, what could have happened?
Well, the blackout, I would be scared.
You know,
I think I would be very
they say
scared
about us
that.
reporters, in a crisis situation, people are running away. We're running toward.
Isn't that, yeah, and that's what heroes, I think, I'm calling you a hero now because you're running to tell the story.
Heroes, we're storytellers. And it's a story to be told.
Okay, I'm a storyteller, but you're a hero because I think let's just keep that straight, okay? Because I think you're so motivated to get to the truth and to tell everyone else that you're not really thinking about yourself. You're like very selfless in these moments.
At those moments when I'm involved in doing a story, that is correct. I'm thinking of the story and the people who I'm interviewing and meeting my deadline.
And that's why we love you so much, Marvin.
Well,
meeting the
we
deadline.
Love you. Monica makes it happen.
That's a good sequel. But meeting the deadline.
Monica, it's terrific working with you.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm your biggest fan.
Thank you.
I think a lot of fans. You've got a lot of fans. This podcast is doing well, right, Joe? We love Joe Cole, too.
Oh, Joseph Cole. And also let's give credit to Adam Smith. He's the one who's our archivist who goes digging through our archives and dust.
He's the best.
How
does he find this stuff is my question. I can't even find what I did last week, right, Joe? I'm like, Joe's like, I don't know what I did last week. I don't know.
Anyway, Monica, thank you for joining me.
Welcome.
And thank you for joining us. Enjoy your day and your week. We'll see you next week for another edition of Marvin's Vault.